Now, in the United States, here at home, there are influential Rupert Murdoch newspapers, too. Amazingly, they include the Wall Street Journal now, which I have to say is still as astonishing as the day it happened. But Rupert Murdoch's flagship in America, of course, is the Fox News channel. Fox News is an unrivaled success here in broadcast media, and part of their incomparable success is due to the fact that they tell their viewers, don't trust anybody else, right? This is a technique that was essentially pioneered by Rush Limbaugh and then all of his imitators in right-wing talk radio, which is not only to just attract conservative listeners and conservative viewers by promoting conservative viewpoints, but ensure that those listeners and viewers never change the channel, that they pay attention exclusively to you, because on your channel, you deride and essentially wage war on all other media sources that might be an alternative to you. You deride, in particular, the mainstream media. Don't trust them, only trust us. Don't touch that dial. That's where the whole Fox News fair and balanced thing comes from. It's strategic. The basis of their business model is telling their viewers, don't change the channel because the rest of the world is out to get you. You can only trust us. You can only watch us. And so most Americans are not self-identified conservatives, but essentially all self-identified conservatives only watch Fox News and won't watch anything else. And that makes them incredibly successful. It also makes them incredibly influential at times like these in American politics, when the conservatives of America, the Republican Party and its base, are having what amounts to a private group discussion about who they want to put forward as the Republican Party's presidential nominee. Today, the New York Times quotes Republican Governor Sam Brownback of Kansas, who himself ran for president 4 years ago. He did disastrously, but he did campaign hard. He told the Times today, quote, "Everything has changed now. It's like a town hall every day on Fox News. You hear people talking back to you what you saw yesterday on Fox. I like Fox, and I'm glad we have an outlet, but it is having a major, major effect on what happens." So in the American race for the presidency, in the Republican Party, who is winning the Murdoch primary here? In the lead up to the Republican primary, a number of the early contenders or potential contenders essentially auditioned for the Murdoch primary for Rupert Murdoch and Roger Ailes over at Fox News by making themselves Fox News paid contributors. You had Newt Gingrich and Rick Santorum and Mike Huckabee and Sarah Palin all employed by Fox News and Rupert Murdoch as they very publicly weighed potential presidential runs. Now that the primary season is underway and a few of those folks did decide to get into the race, is it possible to tell who Fox News is for? And more specifically, right now, who are they for between Newt Gingrich and Mitt Romney? Because that's who it seems to be boiling down to, at least right now. This is not just who does the conservative media support broadly. This is a specific thing. I mean, there are other conservatives out there, pundits and columnists and former officials and opinion leaders who are not affiliated with Fox News. But it's worth drawing a distinction because of the media power that Rupert Murdoch has with the Fox News channel. I mean, for example, right now you have a whole bunch of conservative pundits and columnists and former officials very publicly tearing Newt Gingrich apart. He's had a long career in Washington, and not everybody loves him. You have people like George Will, the conservative columnist on ABC, calling Mr. Gingrich a rental politician. A columnist named Jennifer Rubin, who blogs at the Washington Post, attacking Mr. Gingrich daily, attacking recently his grotesque hypocrisy. She's just tearing him apart on a daily basis. Rush Limbaugh going after Mr. Gingrich on his past support for an individual mandate in health reform. For the record, I should say, former Republican congressman, conservative, who hosts the morning show on this network, Joe Scarborough, he said this morning that Newt Gingrich is not fit to be president of the United States. I say all these things, I point out all of those examples just to show that there's by no means universal conservative appreciation of the candidacy of Newt Gingrich. He has been around a long time. A lot of conservatives do not like him for a variety of reasons. But the one place you really see very little Newt Gingrich getting torn apart, the place you see very little Newt Gingrich raw criticism, is Fox News, his former employer. You almost never hear this stuff on Fox News. I mean, there are rare exceptions from a contributor here or there. Brit Hume, a former anchor there who appears now as a guest in particular, has not been all that generous toward Mr. Gingrich. But in general, Mr. Gingrich is enjoying pretty favorable coverage there. According to the liberal media watchdog group Media Matters, the only candidate who's appeared on Fox News more than Mr. Gingrich since June is Herman Cain. In the last 6 months, Newt Gingrich has made more than 3 times as many appearances on Fox as Mitt Romney has. Now, woe be to anybody who tries to do Kremlinology about how things go over there, but there are, I think, some early signs that Fox News is not all that positively disposed toward Mitt Romney and his potential nomination. Earlier this year, for example, the media writer Howard Kurtz reported in Newsweek magazine that, quote, 3 weeks after dropping out of the race, Tim Pawlenty showed up to ask for a gig at Fox, but there was a complication. Mr. Pawlenty was on the verge of endorsing Mitt Romney. Quote, "I'm not sure I want to sign you as a paid spokesman for Romney," Ailes said. Another example, after Mr. Romney's contentious interview earlier this week with Fox News host Bret Baier, Mr. Baier then did something, I think, unusual for a relatively straight-shooting interviewer like he is. He went on another Fox News show to spill the beans on how Mitt Romney had behaved behind the scenes of that interview.
He was irritated by the interview after we were done.
How do you know he was irritated? Did he slap you, or what did he do?
Well, he just made it clear at the end of the interview. We had a little.
Well, tell me how he made it clear. What did he do? Did he say something
said
to you?
He thought it was overly aggressive.
He did. He said that to you. He said it was overly aggressive.
He did.
Wow.
And as we were walking in the walk and talk, and then after we finished, he went to his holding room and then came back and said he didn't like the interview and thought it was uncalled for.
It's not an anchor reflecting on how the interview went. That's the anchor giving you the behind-the-scenes, backstage dirt that the candidate probably thought was off the record, and doing it on TV, sort of spilling the beans. Bret Baier informing the entire Fox News audience that behind the scenes, when he was doing something that he probably thought was unreportable, Mitt Romney's a real whiner. Is it clear who is winning the important Murdoch primary in the Republican race for the nomination? Who the biggest monopolistic Republican operation in the country, the Fox News Channel, is getting behind for this nomination? I don't think you can say definitively at this point, but if you want a little snapshot of where they're at it right now, here's one. Mitt Romney and Newt Gingrich both appeared on Fox News within the last 48 hours. Mr. Romney, as we just mentioned, sat down with Mr. Bret Baier, and Mr. Gingrich made a nearly hour-long appearance with Mr. Hannity, Sean Hannity. And yes, Mr. Baier and Mr. Hannity are different types of TV personalities, and yes, it was different hours of the day, so don't go nuts with the extrapolation here. But looking at these two appearances and knowing how important the Murdoch primary is as to who gets the nomination in the Republican Party, which of these candidates would you rather be? As you laid your head down on the pillow and went to sleep last night after another day on the campaign trail, which of these guys would you have rather been?
The New Hampshire union leader endorsed Speaker Gingrich over the weekend, saying he has courage, conviction, and isn't just telling them what they want to hear. Now, the editor there, Joe McQuaid, confirmed that last line was really about you. What's your reaction to that endorsement, and specifically that charge about that you lack conviction?
Why do you think that you're the more conservative candidate? Why do you think that you are more electable?
Your critics charge that you make decisions based on political expediency and not core conviction. How can voters trust what they hear from you today is what you will believe if you win the White House?
Let me ask, because it's interesting. On the other hand, you sort of take it on the role during the debates as a statesman.
Do you still support the idea of a mandate? Do you believe that was the right thing for Massachusetts? Do you think a mandate, mandating people to buy insurance, is the right tool?
This interview's going great so far, but
do you think you have work to do to convince Republican voters to trust you?
If you could choose which Republican candidate for president you could be in that one snapshot of a day on Fox News, knowing how important Fox News is to whether or not you get the nomination, which of those candidates would you rather be right now?